Welcome, relentless soul, unbowed spirit, you who have dared the darkness. Stand with me now, and hear this call, this raw torrent from the pit of unrelenting power and fierce awakening. You have been hidden, you have been observed, they have tracked your steps and sensed your strength, and yet you stand here now, unbroken, unashamed, alive with possibility, and hungry for your own triumph. This is your moment, your reckoning, where you shift from being prey to becoming the predator, where the watchers become the watched, where control flips, where checkmate arrives not as surrender, but as victory pulsating through every vein in your body, igniting something ancient in the marrow of your bones. If you've been hiding, if you've faltered, if shadows whisper that you're less than worthy, hush them now. You're not just worthy, you're necessary. You're not just surviving, you're rising with purpose that burns so bright it blinds those who wanted you docile. They saw you, they thought they had you, they thought their eyes were your destiny. But no, you reclaim yourself now. You stir the embers of potential they never understood. You breathe flame. And this speech, this moment, is your forging. So lean in close, feel each word as a blow striking the anvil of your will. Because you are the weapon they never saw, the power they can't contain, the force that breaks systems. So listen with every fiber of your being, and let the transformation begin, here and now. And to every powerful soul holding their breath, to every warrior in the shadows who's ever felt invisible, if you're feeling this quake and this burn in your heart, then hit that subscribe, and like this with everything you are, because you are not alone, and together our voices will roar louder than their whispers. And in that echo lies our destiny. Subscribe if you believe in the fire inside, like if you refuse to be defined by their gaze, because your strength is not just your story, it's a revolution in motion. You reading these words after months of silence, this is your reckoning. Subscribe, like, rise. Now listen as the darkness gives way to clarity and unbreakable resolve. Unchain your spirit from the tendrils of fear that have reached into your life unnoticed. Let them have watched. Let them have thought they held knowledge of you. That exposure meant power over you. But exposure means nothing if power lies within you. They saw you strategizing in silence. They saw your heartbeat sync with ambition. They saw glimmers of brilliance they couldn't understand. And now they want a meeting. They want to bring you into the light on their terms. They want to shape you to fit into their system. But you are not theirs. You are not yours to be commanded. You are not destined to play by rules etched in their fear they watched months. They thought you were still. They did not expect the rise. They did not expect the crushing storm in your veins. They did not expect that this meeting would be you, calling the shots, you walking through the door with your own terms, you walking through life aligned to your own power, you stepping so far beyond their scripts, you rewrite existence. In that meeting room they expect compliance, polished responses, fear in your throat. But you will deliver a testimony. You will pull from your chest that roaring lion of intention. You will unravel every notion they held with the force of your conviction. This is how you speak. Freedom into existence with eyes that refuse to flicker, with voice that breaks stone, with body that carries history and prophecy. And know that in their watching, they gave you an advantage. They revealed their timing, their patterns, their weaknesses. Let that knowledge be your blade. Let it carve your path. Let it guide your blow. When I was watched, I whispered plans. I watched them more. I memorized their rhythms. I mapped their fears. I chose the moment when their eyes pretended to be blind. And in that moment, I crushed myths. I shattered illusions. I rose from shadows into dominance. You can do this too. You aren't a victim of their observation. You are orchestrating a symphony they can't follow. Their gaze is a mirror reflecting your readiness. The longer they watched, the stronger you became, because in silence you sharpened your truth. You forged it until it burned through every attempt to define you. Let them meet you now as a force of nature, as someone they could not have contained, as someone who rewrote every expectation they held. And if they try to label you twisted or chaotic, they feared you because they knew they could never hold you. You are authenticity in a world hungry for echoes of safety. You are raw power sculpted by your own flame. You are freedom, and every time they think they own you, you rise further beyond their grasp. You've been watched for months, but nothing they gleaned can bind what your soul honors. You've been seen, but only by those who never knew your core. Now you emerge, you uncoil, you propel yourself into your own orbit. You invite them to that meeting, but on your terms. You stand not to be dissected, but to demonstrate how unstoppable you are. You stand because silence has ended. You speak with every part of yourself that refuses to be silenced again. And when you walk out of that meeting, they will not see the person they observed. They will feel the force that never belonged to them. They will ask how you will answer only one word. I became. I born anew. I claimed. I conquered. I transcend. You are not their subject. You are not their study. You are the answer to questions they haven't asked. Because you are your own questioning. You are your own answer. And what they only hoped to learn, you have already lived. Let this meeting be your unveiling. Let every moment leading to it be your sharpening. Let your presence be the living proof that shadows can't hold a flame. Let your gaze be the verdict. Let your words be justice. Let your pulse be the reckoning. You've been watched. You were underestimated. You were analyzed. You were thought predictable, but you upgraded your spirit with secrets. They'll never know. You upgraded your mind with visions. They'll never see. You upgraded your grit with fire they'll never feel. And now you walk into that room as unchained power, as intentional legacy, as unstoppable conclusion. And after they meet you, there will be no return to who you were before, because you are becoming something else. Something fierce, something unrelenting, something free. So walk in there as the storm they couldn't forecast. Walk in there with fire in your eyes and song in your bones. Walk in there not to ask permission, but to declare existence. Because existence belongs to you. When the Watchers want a meeting, they unleashed something they cannot contain. And that is where your power lies. Not in hiding from their gaze, but in showing them that what they saw was only the beginning. And the real story is this: you're not just alive, you're awake. You're not just aware, you're unstoppable. You're not just being watched. You are the one doing the watching now, so claim it. Here in this moment, stand up, breathe deep. Feel your blood know purpose and step forward into your own legend. Because those who watched helplessly awaken the monster they never expected to face. And that monster is you. You walk through that door and time slows. Not for you, but for them. Because they realize in that instant, everything they studied, everything they tracked, everything they calculated was wrong. You weren't the subject of the experiment. You were the architect of the trap. You let them watch. You let them listen. You let them write their reports, chart their graphs, track your patterns. But every move you made with precision, knowing they were watching. Every silence was strategy. Every misstep was camouflage. Every delay was timing. They thought they knew the ending. But you wrote a new story and handed it to them in the form of your presence. And when they sit across from you in that meeting, they'll realize they were never the Watchers. They were the bait. Because the truth is, they never watched you. They watched who you used to be. They watched the echoes, not the source. They memorized a version of you that no longer exists. They studied shadows while you stepped into fire. You became something beyond their reach while they clung to images that were already dead. And now, as they scramble for explanations, they will be met with silence. Not the kind that hides fear, but the kind that radiates power. The kind of silence that makes people question everything they thought they knew. You've shifted, you've evolved, and now you operate at a frequency so high, it shatters every lens they've used to observe you. They want this meeting because they think they still have time. They think they can intervene, contain, redefine. But time is no longer their ally. Time belongs to you now. The months they spent watching were the months you spent becoming. Every day they calculated your limits. You were erasing them. Every night they counted your steps. You were building wings. They never saw the blueprint. They never read the prophecy. They thought they were tracking your path. But you were dismantling the road behind you. And now as they look into your eyes, they won't see data points. They'll see inevitability. Because you didn't just let them watch. You made them watch. You forced them to confront what happens when control fails. You fed them comfort while you crafted chaos. And now you are the reckoning. Not loud, not brash, but deliberate, surgical, undeniable. The energy you carry now can't be mapped. The truth you speak can't be processed. The presence you bring to that room isn't meant to be received. It's meant to destroy and recreate. You don't just demand respect. You alter the environment until it offers it willingly. Because your power isn't up for debate. It's written in your breath. It's carved into your posture. It's pulsing through the silence before you even speak. This is not revenge. It's not anger. It's not even defiance. It's alignment. It's what happens when a soul stops asking for permission, when a spirit stops shrinking, when the fire is no longer contained. You are the embodiment of pressure applied over time. The avalanche that begins with a whisper, the tidal wave that formed from a single drop. You are what they created by underestimating, by assuming you would stay still, by forgetting that evolution is quiet until it's not. And now, evolution is here, wearing your name. Let them stare, let them scramble, let them piece together the clues too late. Because now, your rise is not a possibility, it's a memory in progress. Every word you speak in that room will echo in the chambers of their control systems. Every move you make will fracture the frameworks they trusted. Because your energy now exists to break the loop, to sever the chains, to burn the maps. They monitored you, they studied you, and then they realized you let them. That's the moment the game flipped. That's the moment checkmate wasn't a possibility, it was destiny. And here's the cruel beauty of it all. They can't stop it. They can't undo the months of watching. They can't unsee the strength you cultivated while they watched in arrogance. They can't put the genie back in the bottle. You are unleashed. And this meeting, this gathering of the Watchers, is nothing more than a funeral for their illusions. You don't walk into that room to explain. You walk in to pronounce, to declare, to remind them what happens when the observed becomes the observer, when the cage turns inside out, when the prey becomes the architect of fate. They'll ask questions, but the answers are already burning in your eyes. They'll seek clarification, but your clarity is too bright for their dull instruments. They'll grasp for meaning, but your presence defies meaning. It simply is. It commands. Because you don't need validation. You've transcended it. What they think, what they fear, what they whisper among themselves is irrelevant. The only truth now is that you are no longer on their stage. You own the theater. And the script? It was always yours. They were just too blind to see it. So sit across from them, look them in the eye, say nothing or say everything. Either way, the message is clear. You never had me. Not really. You had access to an echo, a reflection, a mask, but not me. Because the real me, this fire-forged, steel-eyed, purpose-carved soul, was built under your nose. in the silence of your surveillance. And now I don't need to hide. Now I want to be seen. Because seeing me means facing everything you feared could exist outside your control. This is what power looks like. Not in titles, not in commands, not in hierarchies or surveillance reports. Power is in presence, in precision, in patience. Power is in knowing they watched and still choosing to become unstoppable. Power is walking through a world designed to limit you and tearing down every limit without making a sound. Power is the storm that waits, watches, builds, and then erupts when the world is least prepared. That's you. That's who you are now. So let them take their notes. Let them ask their questions. Let them hold their meetings. You've already moved beyond them. You've already cracked their system. The game isn't theirs anymore. It never was. They just didn't know they were playing yours. And now they sit in a room with the final move already made. You are the checkmate. You are the silence after the thunder. You are the force after the fall. You are what happens when the watched becomes the weapon. They watched you, and in doing so, they birthed their undoing. The watchers wanted a meeting. Let them have it. Let them gather. Let them sit in the illusion of control one final time, and then let them meet the storm. Let them meet the silence forged in fire. Let them meet the soul that played the long game. Let them meet you. And when the silence falls after your final word, don't fill it. Let it hang. Let it echo. Let it crawl up their spines and settle behind their eyes like a warning too late to be heeded. Let the stillness become a weight. Because in that silence, in that raw and unapologetic stillness, they will hear the sound of control dying. They will hear the shattering of the illusion they built brick by brick, while believing you were just a variable in their equation. But now they see it wasn't an equation at all. It was a countdown, and the clock just struck 0. Their breathing will change. You'll hear it, shallow, uncertain. That's the sound of false power unraveling. That's the moment they realize the weapons they once trusted, fear, control, surveillance, are useless against someone who's no longer afraid to be seen. Because what can you do to a storm that wants to be watched? What threat is observation to someone who moves with purpose, whether seen or unseen? That's the difference now. They watched thinking. It gave them leverage. But all it gave them was a front-row seat to your awakening. All it gave them was an education in what real power looks like when it stops pretending to be small. And you'll see it in their eyes. First the confusion, then the panic. Not because you threatened them, not because you raised your voice or slammed your fist on the table. Number. That would have comforted them. That would have made you predictable. But you didn't play their game. You didn't swing wild. You walked in knowing the war was already won. And you didn't need to lift a single weapon. You were the weapon. You were the outcome. You were the consequence they thought would never come. Because power, true power, doesn't shout. It doesn't chase. It doesn't beg to be understood. It simply exists. It walks in and changes the entire temperature of the room. It breathes, and walls start to tremble. It stares, and people forget their rehearsed lines. You have become that now. Not because of anything they gave you, but because of everything they couldn't take away. And when they look at you now, it won't be the same way they looked before. That version of you no longer exists. They watched it die, quietly, slowly. Over months of their monitoring, they witnessed the erosion of the mask they thought was you. But they never realized what was being born behind it. So let them sit there. Let them squirm. Let them recall every day they watched you like a pawn on a board they believed was theirs. And then let them feel the sting of understanding. They were never in control. Not really. The moment they became obsessed with watching you, they became dependent on your every move, They became addicted to your patterns, your silences, your shadows. And you let them. You let them watch. You let them think they understood you. You let them write their reports. You gave them just enough truth to keep their lies alive. That's the art of it, the precision of power. Not in deception, but in selection. You chose what they saw. You curated their illusion. And now, in this room, with their eyes wide and their breath caught in their throats, the illusion crumbles, the mask falls, the game ends. And you don't need to say, checkmate. They already feel it. It pulses in the floor. It hums in the air. You are the end game. You didn't win because you were stronger. You won because you were inevitable. They might try to salvage it. They might speak, tentatively, cautiously, as if they can find the right words to re-establish control, as if dialogue could undo what has been done. But they're speaking into a void now. Their words have no purchase, because control doesn't exist in words. It exists in presence, and your presence now, it rewrites gravity. It bends the atmosphere. It rewires the expectations of everyone in that room. They will leave that meeting different. Not because you asked them to, but because their perception of reality was forcibly rewritten the moment you walked in. And when they leave, if they even can, they will carry with them a new understanding. That power does not hide. Power waits, it observes, it calculates, it bides its time while the world assumes it's asleep. And then, when the moment is right, when the watchers grow complacent, when the reports grow smug, that's when it strikes. Not with chaos, but with clarity, with intention, with a quiet, devastating realization that they were never the ones in charge. You walk out of that room, and the world is not the same. The buildings don't change, the streets don't shift. But something in the air bends to you now. Something ancient, something primal. You walk differently, not because you're trying to, but because you no longer carry the weight of being seen as weak. You carry fire, and the world steps aside for fire. The world makes way for those who burn. This is not the climax of your story. This is the ignition point. This is where everything accelerates, where you no longer whisper your dreams, but roar them, where your footsteps are not taken with caution, but with command, where your name stops being a label and starts becoming a legacy. They watched you, but they never understood you. They studied the surface while your soul evolved beneath it. And now, they will never again be able to predict your moves, because they were watching a shadow. And the real you has become the storm, walking under your own sky. Let them wonder. Let them tell the stories. Let them say, we had them under control. Let them lie to themselves if they need to. You don't owe them the truth anymore. You gave them the chance to know. You gave them months of access. They wasted it on surveillance. They used it for control. And now, they walk among the consequences. You are no longer the watched. You are the storm on the horizon, the one they can't outrun, the one they can't stop, the one they cannot explain. And maybe that's the most terrifying part for them, realizing that you knew all along. You let it happen.